month ago, I posted a video on this channel sharing things I can't live without. So today's video is kind of like a follow-up where I'm going to talk about things that I no longer buy, or at least don't buy as much of, or maybe I have a replacement that I bought instead. We're going to kind of just dissect purchasing decisions, and I think this is going to be a really great video to illustrate how I walk through purchases now versus how maybe I used to. Money habits and our spending decisions are constantly evolving and based on time, based on our life stages. So I want to put a disclaimer at the beginning here and just say that just because an item is on my list today doesn't mean that it might never be something I purchase in the future, and that B, just because I have it on my list doesn't mean that you should feel guilty if it is something that you still buy or purchase frequently. This video is not meant to bring shame to our spending decisions. I think what I hope we walk away from this video, both you and I, is just feeling empowered by our ability to make decisions that are right for us. So this first one that we're going to talk about, we're going to stay here in the office, and I want you not to laugh when I say this, because I think some of you are going to laugh at, like, come on Caitlin, what the f are you talking about? That is excessive stationery. I know, because you see stationery here, you see stationery there, there's stationery in there. I do own a lot of stationery for one person. My content has a lot of stationery elements required of it, so naturally I need to be a little bit more in the know. But in comparison to me when I first started bullet journaling back in 2016, those first couple years of bullet journaling, the amount of stationery I bought in comparison to me today is so vastly different. And I think that's in part because I realized I have everything that I could possibly need to make any kind of spread that I really want. There's not really a need to keep buying different kinds of highlighters and to keep buying markers all the time and to keep buying all these black pens. I found what works for me, and I'm more focused lately on just using what I do have. However, when I make purchases today, it's based on, is there a gap in that collection? One perfect example of something that I did buy this year was the Archer and Olive acrylograph markers. The acrylograph markers I've described as being more like paint sticks than even markers because they're very opaque and a lot of liquid comes out of them, and I've got nothing that can duplicate that look in my collection already. And that's really the approach I've taken to stationery these days, is if I do buy it, it has to have a purpose, and I have to reflect on whether or not something I already own can fulfill that purpose. Even the stationery hauls that I've done this year, like 98% of them are things that get sent to me, and then I end up trying to find homes for them with my friends and family. I keep some for using in videos, but otherwise, like, yeah, I'm just not buying as much as I used to. Stationery though is a hard one, I will be the first to admit, a hard one to be good with. So my kitchen is an area in my apartment where there has been money dropped probably that could have been avoided. I'll be the first to admit. Here I am raising my hand. One of the things I no longer buy are really, I want to say, trendy / single-use kitchen gadgets that can end up being really bulky. One of the things that I have is an immersion blender, and I have had this immersion blender for 2 years now, and I can count on one hand the amount of times I've used it. Not to say an immersion blender can't be really great. Immersion blenders are great for soups, and that's what I really thought I would use this a lot for, but turns out I don't make soups a lot. This is not something I need to be taking up precious real estate in my kitchen right now, but I bought it and it exists, and I can immersion blend anything you need me to immersion blend. When I think of like trendy gadgets too, I think zucchini spiralizer or air fryer. I feel like air fryers are really in right now, kind of like how Instapots were really in. I have been intrigued by both of those, and I've managed to resist, which I'm really glad I have, because I don't have space to store an air fryer or an Instapot or a huge waffle maker, which is one that I always am like, maybe I should get a waffle maker. It's like, no, Caitlin, you don't need a waffle maker. Now my focus has shifted to, instead of putting money into more trendier gadgets, put it into investment pieces that I'm gonna get a lot of use out of. Two of those investment pieces in my kitchen are my KitchenAid mixer, which I use all the time because I'm a huge baker. I do think it's one of those purchases though that if you're not a baker, you're not gonna get the most bang for your buck with it, but KitchenAids historically last a really long time. I fully expect to have this KitchenAid for 10 plus years. I also have my Vitamix blender, which is the most recent introduction into my kitchen. I got it a few months ago and it has been a game changer for me because I can do not only smoothies but soups, blend my own flours, I can make my own nut milks. There's so much I can do with it, and I use it since buying it at least 3 to 4 times a week. Another thing I don't buy anymore is cling wrap and Ziploc bags, and full disclosure, I still have them in my kitchen because there are emergencies that happen where I just do need them on hand, but I haven't had to buy these in a really long time because I have alternatives like beeswax wrap. I've had this particular set from Abigo I think for 2 years and it's still working wonderfully, but I need to invest in like larger ones. The time where I most like look towards cling wrap is when I have a really big thing to cover. And I also have stasher bags, and these cover 95% of the times I need a Ziploc. I use one of these stasher bags. I love the fact that these just go in the dishwasher and they clean really nicely, and as a whole both of these together have saved me a lot from having to constantly be purchasing these guys. It should be noted though that these come with an investment. So the approach that I've been taking to stuff like this is just to go slow with it, and then those shifts do end up happening as you slowly bring them into your life. The other thing I don't buy anymore in my kitchen are dishes. When I moved into this apartment, I was kind of like a little googly eye over every cute bowl plate that I came across, especially at HomeSense, because you can buy just one bowl and for a really inexpensive price. Things like my little red bowl with roosters that reminded me of Portugal. I think this was even made in Portugal. Yeah, that's a killer for me. If I see something that's made in Portugal, I'm tempted to buy it. Made in Portugal, made in Portugal. Ah, made in Portugal. Wow, I really have a collection here. And you know what? I don't regret these because I love them all. They're gorgeous bowls. However, I was like buying a bowl every couple weeks, and at some point I was like, yo, if I keep going like this, bowls be everywhere. I know I have already a lot, and again, like if I am gonna buy something, it has to be because there's a gap in my current collection. Otherwise, I need to pump the brakes and realize that there's always going to be a cute plate for me to buy when the time is right for me to buy it, right? Like I'll be able to find something just as magnetic as the thing that I'm currently looking at for a future me who actually needs it. Not to tempt you to make any purchases that you don't need to, but if I had to make a recommendation, which maybe I need to do a video on like absolute apartment essentials, because this would be on the list, and these are Pyrex glass bowls. These are glass mixing bowls that are great because not only are they awesome for baking, they can also go in the microwave, they can stack, they have lids that match up with them, so they also act as storage containers when you're meal prepping. Multi-functioning devices, true classics. We are here in my living room because of this guy right here, my marble, aesthetically pleasing home that has absolutely no significance to my life at all. Actually, I shouldn't say that. This ends up being a really great counterweight when I have to set up my tripod and do overhead shots. This is quite a heavy little decor piece, but I think we've all been guilty of buying pieces of decor just because that don't really matter to us. And this is what I think about when I look at this house. Like if it disappeared from my life, I would forget I ever even owned it. The approach I now take kind of with those knick-knacky things is I'd much rather have some sentimental value than just to buy something to fill a spot on a bookshelf or on my, as this is right here, on my window ledge. Whew, this thing's heavy. I should just be using this for my workouts. I've been looking for hand weights, dumbbells. I should have bought 2. A good example of a knickknack that I have a lot of sentimental value for is this camera, this film camera, which I actually want to try and get working. This belonged to my grandfather, so whenever I look at this, I think of him, and it ends up being an aesthetically pleasing piece of decor, but also something that emotionally has some significance to me. These don't have significance to me, but I mean, we can't deny that these kind of look like Harry Potter Quidditch loops, so was that really a regretful purchase? No. Nonetheless, I just think knickknacks that tell a story are going to be a lot more special pieces in your space over the long term, because you're not gonna get sick of something that holds a really great memory as fast, at least, as maybe something that you just bought because it was on sale, on a whim, it was trendy at the time. Another thing I no longer buy anymore are candles. Lumped into this is a diffuser oil, like essential oils for my diffuser. I have so many essential oils, and I am like almost done my candle collection, but I don't buy them anymore because they end up being common gifts that you get from family and friends during special occasions like your birthday or the holidays. Like, it's one of the staple things that people get you. So I've really cooled it in the candle and essential oil department. This is actually the last candle in my candle stash that I have to burn through, and then I will officially have no candles, which is sad because I love burning candles, especially during the colder months. But it means I used everything that I had, and that feels very satisfying because I feel like candles are one of those easy things to store away in a cupboard and just end up building a collection of. I'm not finding as much success with my essential oil collection. I need to really get that going. I gotta diffuse some oils. A conversation that has been had a lot on social media and the internet is just the dangers of fast fashion and how damaging that can be for our environment and all these things. I think the biggest takeaway from those conversations that I've applied to my life isn't necessarily that I don't ever buy from fast fashion brands, because sometimes those cost savings do mean something, but that when I'm choosing pieces, whether it's fast fashion or whether I'm buying something that's meant to be more of an investment, is that I'm buying things that are timeless, and I'm not getting too wrapped up in trendy pieces, because when you buy the trendy pieces, you 9 times out of 10 are sick of it really quickly. The shirt that I'm wearing today is actually a piece that I got from Aritzia. It's the Murphy long sleeve, and I have it in 2 colors, and I love both of these shirts because there is nothing about them that is going out of style anytime soon. They're just a basic long sleeve blousey V-neck cut. I love a V-neck cut on me. It's always been a neckline that I think is more flattering than like a scoop or a straight cut. So I feel good in it, but I can also put on a leather jacket and make it more edgy. I can pair it with jeans to make it business cash, or dress pants to make it more professional. It's a very versatile top to own, and there's nothing about it, like I said, that I'm gonna get sick of. And you know what? I don't think that means that you shouldn't ever, you know, get a trendy piece or have fun with a clothing choice, like taking a bit of a risk. But I think, again, it's just one of those things that you want to make that move intentionally. You don't want a whole wardrobe filled with trendy, risky pieces that are probably not going to have a lot of longevity for your fashion life. I also think it makes it really hard to come up with outfits too, with so many of us that work in like traditional office jobs, or you go to class regularly. Like, you want something that's easy to mix and match, and that's another benefit to going for timeless pieces, is they tend to have that quality to them that makes it really easy to put outfits together. We are in front of my makeup section because that is another thing I don't buy anymore, excessive makeup, because I basically have found what I like for my face and I just kind of stick with it. Really what I use every day is this concealer, powder, eyeshadow, primer. These are 2 things I sometimes use. I've got a blush and an old bronzer that really I should throw out. The bronzer I actually use, and a highlighter, and some eye stuff. The only thing I really have in excess are eyeshadow palettes, but I haven't bought an eyeshadow palette in a really long time, and I'll tell you why. This is what I realized about all my eyeshadow palettes. I want you to tell me what theme you see here, okay? Huh, they are literally all the same palette, guys. Like, they're just all browns, some like champagne shimmeries. Like, that's what I use all the time, and I have a plethora of them. But that's why I'm like, why am I buying these eyeshadow palettes? It's the same, I'm using the same colors, just from different palettes. Low key though, I do really like this one. This one I use all the time. This was an impulse purchase. I'm not gonna lie about that, but like, come on. I've never used this, but like, come on. Come on. Skincare has kind of been the same thing for me. I do get more excited to try skincare things, so that's when, like, during like the Sephora VIP sale, or if I have points at Shoppers where I'll experiment with the product that I've been eyeballing. I just think skincare for me is something that I'd rather invest more dinero into, because I'm like, if my skin's doing good, then I don't even need the makeup to work as well. While we're here, let's talk organizers, okay? Okay. The other day, let me see if I took photos of it. I was at HomeSense and I ran into these organizers and I'm like, oh my gosh, how cute. Oh, I do have that. Okay, I'm gonna put the images on the screen right here. I just thought, wow, so clean, great for a closet, great for anything. It has a lid, how functional, great price. I took photos to remind myself when I got home to see if I had any need for them. I don't have any need for them. I know firsthand how tempting it is to, when you want to get a area of your home organized, to buy organizers first, but actually the better technique is to start by organizing, start by decluttering, start by seeing what you actually need to organize, and then go looking for organizers that really address those needs, rather than trying to make what you bought for the organizing do the job. Do I still think these are really cute? Yes. Am I still like, wow, I like those? Absolutely, but I don't need them. And honestly, if it weren't for the photo on my phone, I probably would have forgotten that I had even come across them. But in the moment, I was very intrigued. Just looking at my list here, I was also gonna add subscriptions to this list, like Netflix and Disney Plus and Prime and all those things. I realized though that I really don't pay for any of those. I pay for Prime, but the other ones, I do piggyback off of family and friends. I don't feel shame about that. I'm gonna stick by that one too. But on the note of subscriptions, I think whether it's subscriptions for services or subscription boxes, whether it's food services or beauty services, all of those things, it's like very important to regularly check in with what you're paying for, because there are times where you kind of are being charged for something that you're not really using. And I think it's a good habit to get into, to once every couple months check in, see what subscriptions you're paying for, and seeing if there are ones that maybe no longer are serving you as much as they once did. And the thing is, if you want them back again, you can get back on them. They will not refuse you, you know? At the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is what I talk a lot about on this channel, is just having that pause button moment before making a purchase to ask, like, do I really need this thing? Does this have a purpose? And I think you curb a lot of spending regrets that way. I am curious to know though, what is something that you no longer purchase, or some things that you no longer purchase? I'd love to hear your reasoning in the comments. I feel like that will make it a really interesting area to peruse. Don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. It all really helps me out and helps support me as a creator, and that support is always really appreciated. I will see you all very soon with a new video, and until then, bye guys. I cannot emphasize it enough. I am sweating. It ain't a cute look. I don't recommend spending too much time in my armpit area. Ew.